Hey guys, I'm going to be talking about 5 mistakes that allowed me to become a millionaire. As wanky as that sounds, that is not the intention of this, not for me to display my big head or to come across cocky or any of that sort of stuff. I've talked about before how money is just energy. But really, in this, I serve to inspire you and also serve to educate you in the 5 mistakes that may allow you to have the aha moment and grow your wealth as well. Welcome to the Oz Property Investment Mastery Podcast. My name's PK and I help busy people build passive income by buying top 5% growth and cash flow property and build a portfolio using data without wasting months doing research, spending weekends at inspection or catching flights, or dropping $10,000 to $20,000 on buyer's agents every single time. So if you're confused, lack confidence, and just overwhelmed with all the information and marketing misinformation available online and don't know where to start, then this show is for you. Okay, so the first mistake that I made was actually I was always motivated. I didn't grow up very well off, parents are first-generation immigrants. The first mistake I made was I think I used to do like strawberry picking, apple picking, blueberry picking, whole bunch of fruit picking when I was in my high school years. And then during university, I saved up $2,000 doing these errands, and I went to the local um, local ANZ branch here, close to Virginia, which is in Brisbane. And I went in there and I was like, I took, I think my dad with me, and I was like, I would like to invest this. I thought I, had a lot of money, $2,000 as a university student. And I was like, I'm going to get in ahead of the pack, ahead of the game. No one else in my friend circle, none of my mates are investing money. They don't even have $2,000, right? As a university student, like this is going to propel me to become rich. Now, I invested that. That was in 2017, I think. 2007, sorry, 2007. And I put 2,000 in. I used to track the units in a managed fund. I used to track the units like literally, I think even on like a monthly basis, I used to track them. After 2 years, that $2,000 had become like $1,400. All right. So it lost value. Yeah, it's probably because it was bad timing after the GFC and everything like that. But the lesson that I learned from that mistake was I had no control over what I was investing in. Like I told the bank manager guy, the guy at the ANZ branch. By the way, ANZ, I'm not a big fan of that bank. I told them, I want to go to growth portfolio. I'm young. I want to grow this thing. And after 2 years, I was backward. So lesson number one from mistake number one was never outsource your money to let other people make decisions for you, much less in a managed fund. Okay. Number two mistake that I did was when I first graduated, I always wanted to become an investment banker. I remember even as young as age 12 on Google, because, we weren't, super well off. I was like, how do I get rich, or how do I earn a big salary? What are the careers that I need to get a job in so I can make a huge six-figure passive income? Not passive income, active income, a huge six-figure salary. And therefore, I will pick my subjects at high school at that time, you know, reverse engineering what I needed. So I was like Googling. I remember like an art class, I used to Google, what jobs, what employment allows you to make a six-figure um, active income wage, and it always pointed to investment banking. And I worked through high school, through university to become an investment banker, and lo and behold, I became an investment banker. My biggest mistake was to become an investment banker because I started off $100,000 plus superannuation at age 21. This was more than 10 years ago, right out of university. That was a huge mistake, and the reason that was a huge mistake was actually, that really taught me a lesson, right? That taught me a lesson. It was a mistake because I thought that was how I was gonna get rich, or grow my wealth. But the lesson it taught me was that your active income will never, never, never build you enough wealth, build you enough passive income so you can have the lifestyle to not have to work. right? I learnt that from a very young age. The mistake that I made was thinking that that is what's going to grow my wealth. But I listen to, and I talk with literally hundreds of people on a quarterly basis. They're in their 30s, husband, wife, both in IT or engineering or banking or in finance or accountancy or, good legal professional, good employment. The husband's on 150K, the wife's on 150K, and they're both in the golden handcuffs, right? They have no time for their family. They have no time to do what they actually like. They have no time for themselves. Their lifestyle sucks. They work 5 days living for the weekend, and the weekend they're catching up on work and preparing for the next week's work. Their lives are not that enjoyable, right? Their lives are not that enjoyable. Thoreau said that most men live lonely lives of quiet desperation. Many men live lonely lives of quiet desperation. That's what happens when you're on a very highly paid job. You're in these golden handcuffs because it's too good to leave, but it's actually not bringing you any joy. It's actually not bringing you any freedom. It's actually not bringing you any choices so you can spend more time with family or pursue your passions, right? Because then you have that mortgage to pay, you have that car to finance, you're keeping up with the Joneses. You've sold yourself to corporate Australia. All right. And so I learned that in my first year of working because I was on a good income, but I was definitely not having any freedoms. I was earning 110K, including super. As a 21-year-old, I was not happy. Okay, the third mistake that I made, I thought that networking with CEOs, CFOs, people who move and shake Australia, corporate Australia at least, I thought that would allow me to become, let's say, not wise, but wealthier and more powerful, vanity. Um, I thought that was what would exist in my job as an investment banker working at JP Morgan. I had straight access. I had a phone number to like the CEO of Woodside Petroleum, the phone number to like the COO of Telstra. I had access because I was covering them as stocks, and they need to, give us information so we can write our research papers, we can write our analysis and inform the traders, inform the superannuation funds who to invest in, hold, sell, buy, etc. So we had access to the movers and shakers, as a 21-year-old, like, I had, what did I know? My suit probably cost like $300, but I had access to these people who were living in Vaucluse, right? But the thing that taught me, the lesson that mistake taught me was that in a corporate career, I don't care if you're a business analyst, a manager, a head of, a general manager, a VP, and a director, a C-suite chairman, none of those people have any time for themselves. None of those people have any time for their families. None of those people have any time to do anything but work. All right, do anything but work. And they get so engrossed in it that it's kind of weird. They start enjoying it. It's like, my boss's boss at JP Morgan, he missed the delivery of his son because, he was covering, I think it was Woolworths at the time. And there was an announcement and he had to write a research paper and inform the trading of stocks the next day. And he wasn't even sad about it. I was like, oh, I was a graduate. I was like, shouldn't don't you want to go home to your son was just born? He was like, yeah, I'll get to it. But he was like really absorbed in it. And I was like, this is really not, if this is my boss's boss, like, this guy's on $1 million a year plus bonus, like, I don't really see myself in that position. I don't want to be there, right? Money doesn't matter that much to me that I want to sacrifice everything just for it, even sacrifice the delivery of my own son. So that is the lesson or the mistake that I made. That is a lesson that I learned from it, right? Climbing the corporate career is not going to give you true wealth plus freedom. It might give you wealth, but it won't give you freedom. And then always remember, wealth is only a vehicle to something else. Most of the time, it's choices, freedom to be able to do the passions, travel, or spend more time with your kids or family. Just have no anxiety about work, about money. Money or wealth is only a vehicle. I can't tell you, everyone who doesn't have money, and plenty of people that are probably watching this have money, plenty of people who don't have money. You know, if you don't have money, I'm here to tell you that money does not bring happiness. Let me tell you that right now. Not just me, that there are lots of people with enough money in the bank and they're not happy. Okay? It does not bring you happiness. It is only a vehicle so that you have the freedom to chase whatever you think brings you happiness. All right? Climbing the corporate ladder wasn't going to do that for me. That was mistake number 3. Lesson number 3. Mistake number 4 was, I've shared about before how I built my data system and started investing in properties. But one year, I think I was about 5 years into my property journey, I was like, I'm gonna check out what these buyer's agents actually do, right? Buyer's agents were a new concept at the time, about 5 years ago. I started about more than 10 years ago. And, I got on the phone with the buyer's agent and he was like, okay, my fee is $10,000. You need to put down a $500 deposit, a retainer, so we can start talking. I was like, let's see this as an intellectual exercise. And I put down a $500 deposit. I was like, this is just a learning, right? I wasn't intending to go with it. And the thing that he did was he flogged me to his offsider, and that offsider every day was sending me links off realestate.com.au to properties. And, had I not known anything, those properties would have looked really good. They were all positive cash flow. But because I did have my own data system, I had already made millions by then in terms of gross asset value or gross property value. I was like, "This is a scam, this is a complete scam." Sure, it has, yields of about 6 or 7%, but the maintenance costs alone in those types of areas and properties, the tenant issues alone, the flooding issues alone, the insurance premiums alone due to the flooding issues wipe away all that extra yield, right? Those areas have not grown. They're in areas where there's black soil, structural issues in houses, old house. It's just a basket case. And this guy, like when I was asking him, why are you sending this one? He was just like, oh, look, yeah, positive cash flow, growth suburb, growth corridor, population's booming, affordability. You've heard that before. So the fourth mistake that you could say that I made was actually even considering a buyer's agent like that. And the lesson that I learned from that, much like the managed fund, was never outsource your money's decision making to someone else. Learn, 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 learn. Because no one cares about your money as much as you do. And sometimes when we don't know what we're doing, we almost convince ourselves that the person that we are going to pay or have paid does know what they're doing. And there's something in the back of your mind that says, you know, I don't I don't know if they know what they're doing, or, I don't know if that recommendation's actually correct, or that doesn't sound right, or I really want to know a little bit deeper, but I don't want to be probing. I don't want to be coming across as rude, right? Tell me if this has ever come to you, an advisor agent or a property investment company trying to advise you, and you're like, this doesn't sound right, but you're like, they're the expert. Okay, I'm not going to be an idiot and ask them too many questions. That is the lesson. Ask the questions, but ultimately, don't even use them. Learn yourself. And the fifth mistake that I have made that has made me a millionaire or a multimillionaire is I've actually lost a lot of money in crypto. So much like the managed fund, I think the last kind of bull run before this year was, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. And my brother-in-law messaged me on WhatsApp one day and he was like, oh, buy da Cardano and this and that, XRP. And I was like, oh, I don't know, think about crypto, but let's do it. Yeah, let's get in. And so I put in $10,000. Right now, that crypto asset portfolio is about, I don't even check it anymore. I think it's like $1,900. I don't know how I'm the only person who's lost money in crypto and everyone else has done really well. But the lesson that I could take away from that is, even if 90% of people have made money in crypto. So let's say they started off with a portfolio of most people don't put more than $10,000 in crypto, but let's say they put in $50,000. Most people, 95% of people who started with $40,000 or $50,000 in crypto a year ago are now on like 100K or let's say 150K. Right? The lesson is you could have put in 50K into a property, you bought a property for 400K, have that property worth well over 500K now, just in a year's time, plus giving you passive income, plus allowing you to take that equity and buy one or two more properties. That crypto doesn't allow you to do. Now, this is not about crypto versus property, but the lesson that I learned was two things. Property allows you to multiply your assets. Crypto gives you a short-term vanity hit that I've made 10,000, I've made 20,000, I've made 30,000. That is not really a long-term outcome. It's not really a long-term wealth plan. It is just a short-term instant gratification. And the second thing that I've learned from crypto is that you can be spending hours and hours and hours of time trying to learn cryptocurrency, putting in $10,000 here, $20,000 here. It absorbs your mind for really what's peanuts. I mean, what's $10,000, $20,000 for like 10 hours of work or 15 hours of work? It's not worth it. You could be putting in the same amount of work and making hundreds of thousands of both capital growth and tens of thousands of passive income in property investing. So I just don't understand crypto. It could just be me. But that's the fifth lesson. So this was not really an exercise in vanity and showing off and telling you how great I am, but rather hopefully a down to earth or just kind of grassroots explanation of 5 mistakes that I've made investing in managed funds, getting a 6-figure salary out of university, meeting CEOs at age 21, employing a buyer's agent or almost, and investing in cryptocurrency. The 5 mistakes that I've made that have actually allowed me to become wiser and actually allowed me to build a property portfolio. Okay, and I'll take you through the exact portfolio as I have done before, again, as it evolves. But yeah, once again, I don't want this to come across as kind of big-headed or anything. That's not the intention. Is really an honest share of where most people can learn from this video so they don't make the mistakes, they don't go into a vanity trap and look back, because so many of you are watching are like, I'm 30, I'm 40, I still don't have any passive income. What have I done? Okay, this video should help you avoid that. So if it did, I'll leave a link below to the Property Investment Accelerator. But join my Facebook group, guys. Free advice, free suburbs, everything's free. Like, seriously, why won't you join it? Otherwise, my link to the podcast is below as well. I wish you all the best. Well, my name's PK. Really good to be doing this one, guys. Catch you later. Bye.